I'm your host, Felipe Rose, and welcome to the Disco Chronicles and beyond. This podcast is about the disco era, the music, the culture, and the impact it's had on the world today, and why disco is still so hot. After successfully touring the world for over 4 decades as one of the original co-founders and members of the world-famous Village People, selling over 100 million records, this disco king truly knows a thing or two about the disco era. So sit back and relax and enjoy my conversation with my guest today. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Disco Chronicles. I'm your host Felipe, and guess what? On today's show, Enjil and I danced at Studio 54 at this big party, the first party. But could have been on a Tuesday night, I can't quite remember, but she might probably confirm that. Enjil was about to go back to New York and give it up when she got that phone call. Come to a private party, we'll pay you. And she showed up. I was there dancing in another capacity. She was being dressed, well, painted by Holston. And the rest, will be revealed in the episode. So enjoy, sit back, have fun, get a cocktail, because you're going to need one. We talk about some real scandalous stuff about studio back in the day. It's the Disco Chronicles. Thanks for being on with us on Anchor FM, Spotify, and FelipeRose.com. And everyone, back with the Disco Chronicles. I'm Felipe Rose, your host. Woo! Oh my God. Okay, my guest tonight is a friend, beloved sister, and fellow dancer in New York City before, my God, Village People.
Before everything.
Enjil, Harrah, welcome to the Disco Chronicles. My God, I don't even know where to begin. We met through Michael Blaze, the late Michael Blaze, Eddie Faustino, and we were hired as dancers to dance at the parties at Studio 54. First of all, tell everyone where you're from and your dancing background.
Well, I was born in California, and I seem to be back here yet again.
Cheers again. Yeah.
Cheers.
This is what we do, ladies and gentlemen, when we do the Disco Chronicles.
So, when I was quite small, I think I was in 6th grade when my father, who was an engineer, got a job in Connecticut. And he was building robotic cars, or he's building cars with robots. It was a new invention. So that's how
sounds prehistoric to me.
Right. So where am I going?
Yeah. So born in California, but when you got to New York, okay, when you're from California, then all right, what got you to New York City? What was it? The music? Was it the disco era? Because you were like one of the most sought after dancers in New York City during the disco heyday.
Right. It was first. I'm trying to remember how I got there. It was, I think, my good friend Bridget and I were just kind of sick of San Francisco, and we just decided to go visit New York. She went off somewhere. I ended up staying with Michael Blaze.
Right.
And Stanley was in Hair. Can't remember his last name, but he was also there, and Eddie's boyfriend. And I stayed with them for a little while. Was looking for modeling jobs. I wasn't looking for dancing jobs. And I was getting ready to leave and come back to California when Michael Blaze called me and said, "You can't leave."
See, that always happens in intervention like that, right? Which completely changed your whole
Exactly.
existence at that moment.
Exactly. So he said they're opening a new club. You got to
Just
stop.
like that, he said that they're opening a new club. Okay, because he said the same thing to me.
Yeah. And it worked out really well. I mean, that whole first show, I think it was the first show, the one with Bianca Jagger and the horse with Halston.
I'll tell you why it was the first show. Because I was backstage and because they knew that I was an expert horseback rider in English saddle and Western saddle, they said, "Can you stand back here? We don't want you to dance because we've got the girl that is going to be dancing later, and Bianca Jagger is going to be on the horse, and then this guy's going to bring the horse out, which was Michael." But when all that was going on, that was a Tuesday night. I remember it well because it was the first party. There had to have been only 50.
It was the first opening party.
But there were only 50 people there. It was empty. It was empty. Okay. But the party was, went off without a hitch. But you were backstage or in a dressing room. And what was Halston doing to you?
That's something I don't remember.
I remember he painted a dress on you.
Oh, that's right.
And then
he painted the red dress on me. So I actually had nothing on.
Except a pair of high heels.
But it wasn't red. The entire dress wasn't red. It was actually white with red and pink peonies all over it.
But they were actually real flowers, and they glued them on you like a halter top.
See,
so your hair, I'm trying to find a picture of it. And then I heard him say, "Okay, turn around," and he got a ruler, a piece of paper, and he drew like a straight line in the back of your leg, like a
stocking,
like stockings.
No. Really?
You weren't wearing stockings, but the line in the back of your leg looked like gave the impression that you were wearing stockings. And so then you came out, and I don't know whether you went up on a swing or something. And then Michael, he painted Michael.
That was one of the swing things. Yeah.
You were on a swing.
That swing so many times.
You were on that swing before harnesses came out in style. Okay.
And do you know what? I now have a fear of heights.
But I mean, listen, how lucky we were, and how lucky that we can still, somewhat. This is why this show, I want it to be a time capsule for everyone that did not experience what we experienced, and to maybe take a peek to hear what it was like for people like you, myself, and many of the guests that from last season, this season, and to continue. The thing is that politically speaking, and the fashion and the music and everything that was disco, it was just like so loud at the time. And imagine all of that. We didn't even have the internet.
Well, it's like Studio 54 was slightly different than some of the other ones, because I can remember some of the other clubs we all went to where the music was so excruciatingly loud that I never stayed very long.
Yeah, but you ended up staying. You ended up staying at Studio 54 working. I know that at one point I did the Earth, Wind, and Fire release. I think it was a Serpentine Fire album that dropped, and they said, "We want you to come in, and if you can do some kind of an Egyptian look." And I panicked, and I said, "What do I do?" And I think we spoke, and you said, "Call Eddie Faustino. He's got stuff for you." And then next thing I knew, I was in the club like King Tut with a gold on
yes,
with a gold.
And the gold robe was so.
And I had the scepters with the anka. I had the big headpiece, the lace leather sandals. We were, which by the way, I started working at the Anvil shortly after that, but it was really it was really Studio 54 that was really the place where we could be seen and that people could see us.
Exactly.
Tell us more about some of those parties.
What, the Studio 54 parties or the Anvil parties?
No, you didn't go to the Anvil.
Yes, I did.
How? What? They didn't let women in.
They let me in with you.
I went with, yeah, I took you
No,
there.
it was
Uh-uh.
it was you and it was Michael Blaze and Fortino
And you got in,
and Chico.
and Chico Star.
Yes.
So
And I got in.
I
I
don't,
was the first woman ever allowed in there.
I don't remember that. Okay, maybe, okay, I wasn't on anything that
And
I
I,
could.
I think maybe I don't know at that point, I think you might have been on the road.
The Village People was after that.
Yeah.
Shortly after that. Yeah, Village People didn't really happen. We're talking disco in the height of 75 and 76 before it became mainstream across America on the radio, disco music.
Well, the invitation for the opening of Studio 54, I think, was 1977, wasn't it?
Yes, it
Let me
was.
go. Let me look.
Wait, no, you have to stay there. No, no, no. Stay there. Angel.
I'm
Hey,
here. I'm here. I'm
ladies
here.
and gentlemen, no, but you have to
I'm
stay there.
here.
Oh my God, you framed it. Are you kidding me? Are
No.
you serious with that? Okay, hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Tuesday evening, May 24th, 1977. Okay, I need a copy of that. So you're gonna have to photograph that.
That was
That's
the opening party.
of
That
Studio
opening party.
54.
Yeah. I will
Now,
make you.
now the music was extraordinary, as we all know,
Well, we had
and
Richie DJ and we had
Richie
little
Kazar, Richie Kazar.
Kazar.
But we
Right.
called him Richie DJ, DJ
Mhm.
Richie,
Right.
yeah.
And then little tiny Robert was the light man.
Oh
Of
God, why? You remember that? Okay. Well, at
course.
least, yeah. Now, would you say that the first party would be because the when the pictures surfaced the very next day through in the newspapers on the Post, the Daily News, the Bianca Jagger party, and suddenly a new club that really catapulted Studio 54. The name Bianca Jagger
Oh, that
catapulted.
did that blew through all the tabloids, all the big
Right,
magazines, everything.
With Halston, and they talked about the dancers. And if I can recall, maybe I know that the New York Post, not the New York Post, but mainly the Daily News. And then suddenly people panicked. It was like New York was on fire.
It
People ran to the
was. And there were several other clubs, like maybe 5, 10 blocks away that were all of a sudden,
New York,
right.
Xenon,
Xenon, yes.
the round table. So there were other clubs. They panicked.
Yeah, there was something else happening that was maybe perhaps a little more exciting.
Well, it was very exciting. And what I loved about it, and I think you will agree with me, is that Studio 54 managed to bring in the rich, the famous, but then they allowed the really trend-setting people, the dancers. If you look different, if you didn't look like a local New Yorker, if you had that extra, je ne sais quoi, that extra oomph, they needed that. And by combining the gay community with drag queens, with Roll Arena, do you remember
Yes,
Roll
yes,
Arena?
I
I
do.
just saw him. I just saw him, her, saw him. We were 9/11 on the Robbie Leslie Studio 54 CT on the boat, the journey, and so we talked about that. He said, I really never got to meet you because I was roller skating on the dance floor many nights, but I would look up and I would see you either on the bridge, then moved back and forth. Um, and Okay, I'm gonna remind you of.
or the swing.
Though you always on the swing. I
I
don't know
know the
why.
swing.
I don't know why
Paul,
they.
Paul, Paul was the backstage guy who put all that stuff together, and I really appreciated him because he's really, really careful with his rope tying. But it was, yeah, because I wanted to make sure that that swing was not going to fall down. I was going to come down slowly. But he was amazing, and I think a lot of those backstage people were underappreciated at the
They
time.
actually, can we talk about that? Can we talk about
Yeah.
the crew, the bartenders, and everyone
Mhm.
backstage? The things that they did, like maybe hours, even into the seconds of the door opening up, they were still decorating. They were still pulling the whatever the presentation was going to be that night. Like
Well,
when you break.
I was one of those people.
Well, that's why you're on the show because we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate you. And ladies and gentlemen, you will see that in the show there'll be edited pictures that will cascade, and you will see Enjil in her glory. But there was one picture that I recently found from a magazine from a friend of mine, Red Fury. She gave me the Look magazine from 1978. And I thought, oh, wow, this is amazing. Disco explosion takes over the United States of America. I turn centerfold and I text you that picture. And there you are on the swing, but you were wearing like a pearlized mermaid
Yes,
tail or
yes,
something.
the mermaid.
You didn't
Yeah.
look too happy.
No.
You
And you
were
know what
you were
was,
looking down, holding on, looking down, sort of.
do you know what happened from that? I got there. Apparently, that was a night when there were some mafiosa around. So Bridget and I got hired for a party at a house in Long Island to be mermaids laying in the stream that wove through his cocktail party.
You mean it was at a pool or was it a
It was a
stream?
home. It was an actual stream.
Into his pool or whatever, right? No?
No, it was yeah, it might have ended up in the pool, but it was a stream that created the trickling water, calming sound, and everything else. But it was deep enough so that Bridget and I were laying in there in these mermaid costumes. It was
Where did the
one of
mermaid
those
stop?
side jobs.
Who made that outfit for you? Because you were at Studio 54. I remember
I
it
did.
well.
It was Michael McKibben's.
Okay,
It was
so
he was the guy that always put the shows together, and he always dressed me.
and you stepped into it once it was zippered up in the back. You
Yes.
really couldn't walk in or run anywhere. And you sat and now do you can you remember what party that was for? Because we had to as hired dancers at Studio 54, we had to provide what we were going to wear, and if
Yes.
and if we
Yes, we
didn't
did.
have it, they would throw it together.
Yes. And Michael McKibben, who was in charge of most of those shows, was so good at throwing it together really well.
And he would work actually. Halston had a hand in a lot of the parties, um, decorating either whoever's birthday it was or any special guest. He had to have his hands on this is what she was going to wear or this is what he's going to wear.
Right, of course. Yes, he did.
You know,
There were quite a few parties that he must have done that I wasn't there for. Not sure why, but I guess there was no big thing or other big thing happening.
right.
But and it's like a lot of times I didn't go just to go. I mostly
Well, I would only go there to work. I didn't go,
yeah,
even when I eventually ended up going there with village people. Um, I was just there to either perform or as a guest with the group. Matter of fact, one day, because we would use the 53rd Street entrance in the
yeah,
back,
in the
not on
back.
54. And
Yeah.
I know that we had to perform, and I was wondering where are the guys? I couldn't remember. Like, are they late? are they here? And then when I found out, no, someone told me they're trying to get in through the front. And I was like, no, so I ran to the front and through the lobby of studio, opened the door, and there's Mark Benacki, and he was
Mark, yeah,
the
Mark,
door guy. And I
yeah,
said,
Mark.
I'm looking for I was already dressed because I was there, got there early, got dressed up. And the village people are supposed to be here. And then he said, well, I don't see them. And I said, yeah, there they are. But they were wearing street clothes with their hanging with their, they weren't going to get in. And the reason why they got in was because, thank God, I ran to the front of the door. And then they told the guys, you have to go around the block
The
to
back,
53rd
yes.
Street.
It's like all of us performers were supposed to always go in the back door. And then we had to go downstairs into the locker room.
So what was your favorite? Like, you were there hours in the night. What was your favorite song that you would hear at studio? Disco song. I know, because it's so hard to just pick one.
It's hard for me to remember those songs, but I know
What?
Gloria Gaynor was one of my favorites.
I Will Survive?
Yes.
But she had others. She had Casanova Brown. She had other songs.
Yeah. I don't know. Are you talking about in the very beginning?
Well, the thing is that we were in the beginning of disco before it actually erupted and became mainstream.
Right.
But just I know that from those days I have a ton of favorite songs, and I also have a lot of songs, disco songs, that never really made it to the radio, like Love and Kisses. We're talking Judas Priest. There were the Maroda sound, Alex R. Constantino, Souvenirs. There were so many other songs that were playing in the clubs that didn't make it on the radio. And I don't know why. Maybe radio was just kind of catching up with the pop versions of music, the top 10.
Whatever music they were trying to use it was obviously to make people dance.
Well, that's what the secret was. And
yeah.
I've spoken to several DJs, many DJs. Well, no, actually many DJs since the concept of this show began. And it was one guy in particular, legendary Robbie Leslie. He said that if he had to be very careful, if he played the wrong song, that he could clear the dance floor completely.
Really?
Yeah, but those were things that when we were working there, you weren't aware of it. But the DJs, I will always have to be aware of the time, because as one of the dancers that had to be down on the dance floor or on some kind of a table or a banquette or something, I had to look at the time or be reminded that, okay, you can get off this area and go over there. It was with Gibbons. He had a crew of people.
That just reminded me of the guy that was in charge of all the scrims and everything else backstage. He was the sweetest guy who knew everything about every pulley and every weird thing that we were going to be standing on or using. I think his name was Paul.
Now, anyway, when you say the scrims, one of the other props that actually signaled what time it was for everyone to do cocaine was when the moon would come down, and the big spoon.
That was little Robert. He was the DJ. He was in charge of that moon.
And then the spoon would come across. Do you remember the big Coke spoon? Yes. And people would look up and go, woo! And they would turn around and they would, do a little toot, or, run upstairs to the other room and crack an 8-ball. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be right back with part 2 with Enjil, Harrah, and myself. And just don't go away. Hold on one second. We'll be right back. And we're back with my friend, longtime friend, lifetime friend, Enjil Harrah, and I here in the Disco Chronicles. So the thought is the Coke spoon, the big giant spoon.
Right.
Share that.
Well, from what I remember, I don't know. I think it has something to do with Steve Rubell.
Oh, duh, you think?
Right. So I can't remember who made it, but it would periodically, different
swing.
nights,
It would swing across the dance floor.
It would swing, and then it would tinkle out some, confetti, white confetti.
And that meant
that it was okay because there were policemen sometimes standing outside, so they wanted to make sure everything was clear.
Right, but
then everybody would disappear into the upstairs, downstairs, the locker rooms, everything.
Yeah, when the spoon would come across the dance floor, ladies and gentlemen, that was the signal. It's okay, time to go do your bump. And so there were not that many people on the dance floor, but everyone was in the building, in the theater. It was actually a theater. It was very ingenious to just the way they used a lot of the props and scrims and the moon would appear. Then it would like signal, okay, I think it would appear every couple of hours, which was a signal, it's now 3:00. And then the Coke spoon would come right after the moon, and it was time for, okay, keep on dancing, and it's time to do a bump. So I wasn't really into it until I got to Studio 54, and then I tried it, and woo, I loved it.
Studio was different from the other clubs.
Yeah, but hold on now. Then we became so close and tight and friends that when I, of course, joined the Village People, you were so super happy, all of you guys, for me and this new success, that I panicked when I said, I have to go to California. I have to do a movie and I don't know what to do, Enjil. I can't run a house. I have to get a house. I have to get a car. I don't know what to do. Help me, help me. Well, you were like looking at me like, what do you want me to do? And I, come live with me. It's in California. And you flew out, packed up, and you ran the house. And then I brought out Buddy, who worked for me. He was my personal assistant, and
he's still wonderful.
He's so amazing. And the thing is that I was able to navigate the waters in Hollywood, and it wasn't just the movies, as you know. It was like all of the television
folderol that comes along with fame.
Right. And you were able to calm me down when things would get too stressed. And you would say, I think you're hungry. And you would make me the most amazing eggs Benedict with the most amazing Bloody Marys. Or, okay, time for you to relax. Here, have a glass of milk and a disco biscuit. Do you know what you remember the disco biscuit? It's the Quaaludes. They were delicious.
They were.
You would say, no, don't do it. You would say, honey, don't have a whole. Just have a half right now. Now drink your milk to coat your stomach.
That's Nurse Enjil.
Now, that point. Now disco is in its height, on its way out. You're in California with the Village People. All of them. We're going to parties. We're going to Beverly Hills. What was that for you on the outside looking in? What was that experience like?
Oh, well, the whole thing at the Playboy Mansion was very
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. You came to that with me. And we were performing, right?
Yes, you were. Yes, you were. And you let me go to, it was Saks Fifth Avenue and find something to wear.
Right. We went shopping.
Right. And then the party was really a little bizarre, I think.
In what way? In what sense?
Well, it was like the people were basically there just to like have cocktails and hobnob, you
And be
know.
seen and be seen because there was a lot of
Exactly. But
paparazzi.
no one, this is something I always found at those kinds of parties that nobody's really interested in what you have to say.
But it wasn't that time to really get deep and talk with people
No, no, no,
the
it
way
was.
we do now.
I know. I just found it a little bit awkward. But
It was very awkward.
yeah,
I
but
became friends with Patty Hearst and her husband at the time, Bernie Shaw.
that's right. Yeah.
And do you remember the time that we went to the Greek Theater? I'm trying to remember what concert it was. It could have been the Donna Summer concert, Bad Girls, and
In Los
we in
Angeles?
Los Angeles,
Yeah.
and we had one of the hot gossip dancers with us, Allison, and she was mistaken for Liza Minnelli. And after that, because she had that kind of nose like Liza, she didn't like it. And she had the Clute haircut, like Jane Fonda was the movie
Yeah.
Clute. Clute was very popular at the time. And like about 2 weeks later, she went and got a nose job. Did you know that? You remember?
No,
Yeah.
really?
She had her nose straightened. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Broke the nose, hit a hammer to it,
Oh,
paid that
no.
money. But we lived across the street from the West Knoll, on West Knoll Street, Lake
Yes.
Park Hotel. So
Yeah.
all the dancers in the movie Can't Stop the Music, along with the choreographer, um, oh my God, Arlene Phillips, and
Arlene Phillips.
the dancers and all the girls and the guys, they didn't want to be in the pool upstairs because the guests were gawking at them because they wanted to take their tops off. So I remember I said to you, they want to come in the house and lay out in the back of the pool. You said, sure, I'll leave the side of the window open. They can just squeeze through. And at one point I came home and you said, oh, everyone was out in the back. And when I got out there, the boys and the girls were half naked, laying out, getting sun. And
I remember that.
you took care of all of that was going on.
That pool was just perfect, wasn't it?
It really was. And when we got there, the backyard was dead. And then when I started watering everything, we had a massive explosion of birds of paradise,
Yes, I remember that.
which bloomed
And
all
there was
summer
that
long.
nice little pool out back too, right?
Yeah, well,
And then I
but I
wasn't Buddy there as well?
but he was there with us. Yeah, you had one room, he had one room. Then there was the office, and then I had my room. Yeah, 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 yeah. And the thing is that I should have bought the house because it was up for sale after I leased it for 4 months, and I went back like 2 years later. Someone purchased the lot. They bought the house and took it down and threw up
Oh,
a fourth-story condominium.
oh,
Ah, I was so
that's
mad.
so disgusting.
No, that could have been like big money,
Oh,
but then again, you can buy a house and tear it down, but you need the money to build what's going to go up on that.
as I recall, it seemed to be like not too far away from the Hard Rock Cafe, that house.
Well, we were in West Hollywood,
Yeah.
and the Hard Rock was down in Wilshire Boulevard, down
Was it? Oh, right. It was up. Yes, it was up off Wilshire Boulevard,
yeah,
wasn't
but
it?
I mean, the thing is, the beautiful thing is that while disco reigned and the music just blasted and roared, it was like the Roaring Twenties. That's what disco reminds me of. Not that I was living around back then in the Roaring Twenties, but that people compare to the decadence um and the height of hedonism, and it was interesting to see that while everyone was really going crazy and like moving at warp speed, and that one of the secrets I believe in my heart that we knew when to get out of the party, we knew when to back away, we knew when to stop. Okay,
Yes.
because you're here, I'm here. Knock on wood. It's great to get in there and listen. If there's anybody that could, talk about the drugs back then and the this and that, it's us. But we did it because it was recreational. We had fun with it, but we didn't live with it. We operated during
Exactly.
the week. We operated, and then sometimes I would come back and, oh my God, that movie's such a disaster. I don't know what to do. I took a glass or a cup and I smashed it in the backyard. You said, no, 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 don't do that. Let me go. Calm down. Here's a Quaalude. Take the take the
Let's
whole
just
one.
take a half, take the whole thing.
Let me go get you something. So tomorrow, if you are upset and you went to a vintage antique store, or what kind of a store was it? Like where you picked up boxes of dishes and
Yes, I found some really nice dishes.
with Buddy, but you
But
went to like a thrift store. You went to a thrift store.
we were trying to like fill the house up with things it needed.
No, but not only that, but the things that I needed that if I wanted to break something. So I know that the test came when I came home from the set. Oh my God, it was crazy. And you put the box of these plates, nothing matched what you put out in the backyard. You said, have a cocktail. Okay, tell me what happened. Here's a cup. And I would throw it down. I would tell you what was going on. And you could. You just smash everything that you want. I'll be right back. Do you remember that? Yeah. And it was like a stress release.
Yeah.
I was able to vent within myself, be angry at what it was, and then I would look down at the box and the last saucer to whatever cup I broke, and then suddenly I was like, okay. I would go back into the house and you would look at me and say, are you better now? Are you feeling better? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. And I just want to say thank you because what we lived and how we lived and what we experienced together, like you just can't make that up because it was really like a dream come true in a fairy tale.
Yeah, kind of one of those. Just yeah,
It was an adventure. I
it
mean,
was an adventure,
I
but
didn't
it was
like Los Angeles. You like Los Angeles?
no
No, because we were New Yorkers.
right.
You know, anyone else that you have thought of in recent years from those days that make you feel a little misty? I mean, I'm fond of the memories and love it. And when I listen to disco music today, it takes me back to what we were doing. And do you feel that way when you hear certain songs from the disco era?
I do. It really takes me back, and it brings back hundreds of memories, which is nice because when you get older, you forget certain things. So if you hear a piece of music, or if you read an old letter, all of a sudden you go, "Oh, right, I remember how fabulous that was."
I have to commend you that uh, that you saved a lot of not only letters but photographs. You sent me a photo today of who is this guy, and I kept thinking that's Michael Greer, and Michael Greer had a stand-up show. It's
San
uh, San
Francisco,
Francisco and Sweeney something in New
Sweeney
York.
Todd,
Sweeney, I can't forget the name of the club on 70 something street. And he had an act, and then he would do Baby Jane Hudson, and he would get dressed in that grotesque look. And with Baby Jane Hudson with the big lipstick, like with Betty
right?
Davis, and
Yes, I do remember seeing that. It was so bizarre.
it was bizarre, but he was very successful. And what
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the club. And here we go again, jogging
And
that,
right.
jogging.
And that picture was from San Francisco when you were there at one point. And I'm
Because I
all
was flying all around while you just kept
yeah,
the house
yeah,
down with Buddy. You
yeah.
know, we have 17 minutes left and maybe less. Angel, spell your name. How you is your maiden name?
Oh, my maiden name, which is my
Well,
last name,
well, look what you went by in New York. I only know you as
Enjil.
Enjil Harrah.
Right. Harrah.
Now you know there was a club Harrah's in New York.
Yes, I know. And I was so interested when I first hit New York and went there, and I went, he just made it up. He just made it up. He picked it out of a bag of,
Yeah, they
notes.
did. They did. And
Yeah.
actually, that was actually, well, the second time the Village People performed in New York. The first time was in Brooklyn at 2001 Odyssey, where they filmed Saturday Night Fever. And
Yes.
then we went to the club
Yes.
and at our concert there. And as I recall, France Jolie was a big deal because of the song Come to Me and all of this. She had a bunch of other hits after that and during that time. But when we appeared, all of these guys from Staten Island, the bridge and tunnel, which is what we called
The
them then.
Bridget
And
crowd.
and then here's Village People performing at a club like that where they were all with the flip dos and the polyester and the dresses and the polyester shirts and all that dancing. And here's this group appearing on stage in denims and jeans with a Native American stuck in the middle. And they just thought, this is the most bizarre thing we have ever seen. But then when they heard San Francisco Hollywood and then Macho Man, they lost their minds.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we were like unconventional in a conventional way at 2001. And I'm gonna leave it there for that great memory down this trip down memory lane. Angel, I love you forever. And so glad we're back in each other's lives again. This stuff will be in a time capsule. You'll have a copy of it. I want to thank you for being on the show today. And then we've got pictures that will cascade as the credits roll. And you're probably going to go, oh my God. But you were a beauty. You still are. But you were back then, you were just, you were the buxom blonde they wanted to, but you always ended up on that swing.
I did. I spent a lot of time on that swing.
Yeah, but then when you would go home, you were never on a swing.
True.
Angel, thank you so much. I love you.
I
Thanks,
love you,
thanks,
honey bun.
thank you. Thanks to Naru. And say hi to Bridget. And of
I
course, if
will.
you speak to Eddie, please send him my best. You
I
know,
shall.
I want to thank everyone for watching and listening. You can find us on anchorfm.com, on spotify.com, and on eagleradiopro.com. Thank you, Angel. I love you.